Something nobody expected has finally happened. After nearly 2 years of legal battles, Justin Baldoni has spoken on camera for the first time. His words didn't directly mention Blake Lively or even the movie at the center of the controversy. But they revealed how he views everything that has happened. And now that the lawsuits have ended and a settlement has been reached, people are asking one question. Did this final statement change the story, or did it simply add another layer to one of Hollywood's biggest public feuds? To understand why his comments matter, we have to go back to where it all began. During the press tour for It Ends With Us in August 2024, something felt off. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were almost never seen together. She appeared at premieres and interviews with other cast members, while Baldoni promoted the film separately. Fans noticed the distance immediately. At first, many assumed it was simply a scheduling issue. But the silence between the two only grew louder. So what was really happening behind the scenes? The movie itself seemed destined for success. Based on Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel, it tells the emotional story of a woman trapped in an abusive relationship. Baldoni directed the film while also playing the male lead opposite Lively, who served as both star and producer. When it reached theaters, it earned around $351 million worldwide, making it one of the biggest box office successes of the year. On paper, everything looked like a triumph. But away from the cameras, a very different story was beginning to unfold. Months later, court documents revealed that Lively had raised concerns during production. In an amended complaint filed in February 2025, she alleged that Baldoni made inappropriate comments about her appearance, kissed her without consent during scenes, and introduced intimate moments that she said had never been approved. According to the filings, she later met with Baldoni and representatives from Wayfarer Studios at her home, together with her husband Ryan Reynolds. She reportedly arrived with a written list of requests designed to make the set feel safer and more professional. Among those requests was a demand that no additional intimate scenes be added beyond what she had originally agreed to. The parties reportedly agreed to those conditions. But was that agreement truly honored? The situation exploded even further after a New York Times investigation published in December 2024. The report alleged that a crisis communications team working for Baldoni had discussed ways to damage Lively's public image before she could share her concerns. The article included private text messages between publicist Melissa Nathan and Representative Jennifer Abel. One message stood out above all the others. Nathan reportedly wrote that she knew they could bury anyone, but she could not put certain things in writing. That phrase became the headline of the investigation and quickly spread across the internet. Suddenly, the focus shifted away from the movie and onto the people behind it. But the consequences were only beginning. Within days, Baldoni was dropped by his talent agency, William Morris Endeavor. SAG-AFTRA described the allegations as deeply troubling. Several actors who had worked with Lively publicly supported her. Instead of discussing the film's important message about domestic violence, the public conversation centered on the allegations and the reported public relations campaign. Ironically, the very effort that was supposed to protect Baldoni's reputation appeared to create even more attention. But what happened once lawyers entered the picture was even more dramatic. Lively filed a complaint with California's Civil Rights Department before also filing a federal lawsuit against Baldoni, Wayfarer Studios, CEO Jamie Heath, and members of the Crisis PR team. She alleged sexual harassment, retaliation, and a hostile work environment, along with several other claims. Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, strongly denied the allegations. He argued that Lively had not been harassed and claimed the dispute was really about creative control over the film. According to Baldoni's side, Lively and Ryan Reynolds had tried to take over the project and later launched a campaign that damaged his career. So who would the courts believe? The legal fight quickly became enormous. Baldoni filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming the newspaper had misrepresented private communications. He also filed a $400 million countersuit against Lively, Reynolds, and publicist Leslie Sloan, accusing them of defamation, extortion, and attempting to destroy his reputation. The numbers alone grabbed headlines around the world. Yet courtroom decisions would slowly reshape the entire battle. In June 2025, U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman dismissed Baldoni's defamation claims against Lively and her team. The judge ruled that many of the statements involved were legally protected because they were connected to litigation or reporting about litigation. Baldoni also missed the deadline to revive his massive countersuit, effectively ending that case. Meanwhile, more private messages continued to become public. And each new release fueled even more debate. But one discovery caught particular attention. Court records showed messages suggesting Wayfarer Studios allegedly paid social media specialist Jed Wallace around $30,000 per month during the summer of 2024 to help influence online discussions surrounding the film. Other messages appeared to celebrate the strategy after the team believed it had successfully confused the public with mixed messaging. As discovery continued, even Taylor Swift briefly became connected to the case after private messages involving Lively were unsealed. Her lawyers later argued successfully that she should not have to give a deposition. Yet even with celebrity names entering the story, the biggest courtroom decisions were still ahead. By April 2026, Judge Lyman dismissed 10 of Lively's 13 claims, including the sexual harassment claims. Importantly, those dismissals did not mean the judge concluded the allegations were false. Instead, the ruling explained that Lively was legally considered an independent contractor rather than an employee, meaning those particular laws did not apply to her situation. 3 claims survived, including breach of contract and retaliation. A jury trial was scheduled for May 18, 2026. Everything appeared ready for an explosive courtroom showdown. Then, just 2 weeks before trial, everything suddenly stopped. Why? On May 4, 2026, attorneys for both sides announced that Blake Lively and Wayfarer Studios had reached a settlement. The dispute would never reach a jury. The joint statement acknowledged that concerns had been raised during production and expressed hope for closure moving forward. The financial details were not made public, and reports indicated no money changed hands as part of the main settlement. However, another issue remained active. Lively's legal team later sought roughly $8 million in attorney's fees from Wayfarer Studios under a California law designed to protect people who report sexual misconduct from retaliatory lawsuits. That request carried major legal significance because the judge ruled Wayfarer could potentially be responsible for those costs. But was that the final chapter? Lively's attorney, Sigrid McCauley, argued that the greatest victory had already occurred. She said the alleged smear campaign had been exposed and that the people behind it were now facing scrutiny beyond this single lawsuit. Around the same time, former publicist Stephanie Jones filed her own lawsuit involving Baldoni and Melissa Nathan. According to her claims, digital forensic investigators linked an anonymous attack website targeting her to Nathan and Jed Wallace. The investigators reportedly found connections to a wider network of similar websites aimed at multiple individuals. Legal analysts noted that the reported operation appeared too organized to be the work of one frustrated person. Instead, they suggested it looked like a coordinated system requiring significant planning and resources. But with the settlement complete, many wondered whether the public would ever hear directly from Baldoni himself. That answer finally came on July 8, 2026. Baldoni appeared in a nearly 5-minute Instagram video alongside his wife, Emily. It was his first public statement in more than a year. He never mentioned Blake Lively by name. He never discussed the movie directly. Yet every sentence seemed shaped by everything that had happened. Baldoni explained that he had stayed silent because he never believed the timing was right. Emily said they finally felt ready to speak. Together, they described the past 2 years as a period of healing. Baldoni admitted that healing had not been simple. He said the experience forced his family to rethink what truly matters and explained that faith had become an even stronger part of their lives. He thanked those who had prayed for them and supported them throughout the legal battle. But then Emily made a statement that quickly became one of the most discussed moments of the video. She said that feeling grateful did not erase the pain or what she viewed as injustice. She described struggling to understand how such a damaging experience could happen. Then she asked a question that many saw as a direct response to the allegations. How could something this harmful be presented as a fight for women? It was a carefully chosen sentence. Supporters of Baldoni viewed it as evidence that the family believed they had been unfairly targeted. Supporters of Lively saw it very differently, pointing out that important retaliation claims had survived until the settlement and that judges had issued rulings favorable to parts of her case. The divide remained as strong as ever. So what should people make of Baldoni's message? Baldoni said he intentionally refused to contribute to what he called the noise surrounding the case. He believed the legal system should run its course. He also said the truth and the facts had spoken for themselves. Since the controversy began, he has not announced any major acting or directing projects. During the legal proceedings, he and his family relocated from Los Angeles to Nashville, Tennessee. Professionally, his career has remained largely on pause while the court sorted through competing claims. In the end, Baldoni's $400 million countersuit was dismissed. His lawsuit against the New York Times met the same fate. Lively's remaining claims were never decided by a jury because of the settlement. The agreement itself remains confidential, leaving many questions unanswered. What remains is a public record filled with court rulings, private messages, competing narratives, and sharply divided opinions. Perhaps the greatest irony is that it ends with Us, a film centered on finding the courage to speak out, became the backdrop for a real-world conflict about what can happen when serious concerns are raised. Even today, people continue to debate what really happened behind closed doors. Baldoni believes he was wronged. Lively believes she stood up for herself and others. The courts resolved part of the dispute, but they never answered every question. And because the final settlement happened before a jury could hear the remaining claims, the full story may never be known. One thing is certain, though. Hollywood has not heard the last word on this saga, and the next chapter may arrive when nobody expects it.